I mean, well, okay, but you to get the broader point I'm making.
Yes, I do.
You take a lot of, I will say, it's a family network, doo-doo for being bullish all the time. But you've been right. Like when you've been bullish and held strong and held fast when others were cutting their S&P forecasts, people gave you grief. You've been right. Do you worry? Is there any part of Tom Lee that worries at all, not the drummer, that worries at all that things are getting a little frothy?
Brian, we've seen markets get frothy and correct. I've been covering markets for 35 years. So, I went through 99. We went through 2019 and 2022 and the 2021 top that was painful into 2022. And I'd say that signs of a top are really reckless use of borrowing at a time when cycle indicators are at a top. One thing to be mindful of in 2025 is that the ISM manufacturing hasn't stayed above 50 for 29 months. That's the longest stretch in history. So we know businesses have been ultra cautious. Despite what people say is froth, I mean, maybe the Robinhood community is quite enthusiastic, but in a general sense, because Fundstrat has 10,000 RIA clients and over 400 hedge funds, our community of clients is not that enthusiastic. I think it really does sync up with the $7 trillion of cash that you see. People are cautious, and when people are cautious at the top, as you know, that's not bell ringing. That's generally more mid-cycle.
Yeah. I'm going to give another stat here from, I don't want to steal people's stats without giving them credit. My friend and colleague Max Myers says that Meta and Microsoft now have the combined market cap of the entire Tokyo Stock Exchange. Every company in Japan, the world's fourth or fifth biggest economy, every company combined is now the same size as just two American companies. Does that kind of stuff worry you, Tom, or are we that much better? Is our system better? Are companies better? We deserve that.
Well, I like Max's stats, but one thing Max should keep in mind is that if you look at earnings growth since 2019 to now, the U.S. has left every other country in the dust. India is the second closest, but almost 20 percentage points behind. Of the top 25 most profitable companies in the world today, 21 are U.S. companies. So there's a reason Microsoft and Meta dwarf other countries. They're leaders in innovation. And if we look at what really is the juggernaut of the U.S. economy, it's technology and spearheaded by AI and now digital assets. But it's also financial innovation, and that's Jamie at the helm there. The leadership of these two sort of things driving the U.S. economy are kind of unassailable. So in my opinion, I think it's justified that these are the largest companies in the world.
Not 110, 212% above its IPO price of 33. Amazing. You heard Craig earlier, and we're all getting to, we've all been around the block a few times, Tom. We see that. Craig was clearly nervous, right? He was talking about froth and comparing it to 99, talking about Apple. And I don't, Craig's gone, so I don't want you to go after him too much because he's not here to defend himself. But he had a point, I think, right? Like there's no harm in being a little nervous when meme stocks are going up 40% a day again.
Yes, Craig brings up valid points. I was an equity analyst when Craig was at Bernstein, I believe. So we were peers at that time. And in the 99 period, the companies that were commanding these eye-popping valuations weren't really central to any thesis except that they were sort of names, whether it was pets.com, et cetera. But we're seeing in these pops, whether it's Circle, which was an astounding IPO, or now Figma, this is really a function of scarcity, right? That there is very few new ways for institutional investors and retail to get exposure to an AI name that isn't already a Mag 7. So you're right, there is price discovery, but Circle's held on to its gains. In fact, it's built upon it. So if it was a bubble, that's not the kind of bubble that I'm used to seeing. I think if Circle had round-tripped back to its opening price, that would be disappointing. But, it opened at 77 and it's now at 185.
Yeah, and we've talked about three companies in the last few minutes. CoreWeave, obviously sort of lease, for lack of a better term, leasing out space for AI. Circle, stable coin company, kind of new bank, maybe, if you will. I'm speaking in very general terms. And Figma, which as I admitted earlier, I don't use. I don't work for a startup. I don't know it. I have a job, so I don't go do other things. They don't have anything in common, except, Tom, that a lot of people want to own them.
That's right. And, there is what is obviously going to be price discovery taking place, because just because Figma is commanding this valuation doesn't mean that the 20 other startups behind it will get that valuation. But we also know that the economy is changing rapidly because of AI. And so if Figma is a way for people to enable themselves and for startups to move faster in a world of AI, and then it itself is inherently AI, I'm not making any opinion or judgment on Figma itself.
How about
to me,
this? I'm thinking, sorry to interrupt, Tom, because I don't want to lose my thought, because my age, I lose thoughts quickly. I feel like in my career, 30 years, done this a long time, this is like the third complete transformation of business. The first one was literally, you and I are about the same age where we can say we watched the internet be created, right? I was on a message board in high school in 1987, right? We used to use a fake digital currency in the 90s down in Blacksburg, Virginia, in the Blacksburg Electronic Village. The creation of the internet was round one. The software is, and that included global crossing and like the physical build out. Yeah. The softwareization was sort of round two, right? Where the World Wide Web became a visual medium, software was built. I feel like with crypto and everything else, this is kind of the third wave, and the history books will write about this moment. Is that too much?
I think you're spot on, Brian, because we're really seeing actually sort of a dual movement at this moment, because AI and the digital world and ChatGPT have made people comfortable with sort of interacting with this sort of digital agentic world. And now there's going to be robots and things that are ingesting additional data. At the same time that the White House has really pushed the US in a quantum way forward on digital assets using tokens, today the SEC wants to financialize the entire financial system onto the blockchain. But the blockchain is where everyone meets. That's how you control robots. You're exactly right. It's a really important moment, and companies like Figma sort of are going to play a role. We're trying to figure that out, but you're right, and it's coming at a time when this probably strengthens the U.S. lead. So I know his next update might be that Microsoft is bigger than the entire continent of, pick one of the seven, and it may happen. Yes.
I mean, isn't it amazing how much Europe has just gotten blown away, left behind, Tom? I mean, Germany, I got a lot of friends in Europe. I go there for work, for pleasure. I'll be there in a couple weeks. Their biggest software company, I think, is SAP in Germany, with a market cap of like $250 billion. And Microsoft's worth $4 trillion. It's insane what's happened to Europe. They had their chance.
That's right. There's no other way to write a different narrative. Europe had a very different approach to innovation, which is really to regulate it and to prevent innovation and disruption, and to protect, legacy systems. Yeah. And now we're seeing a huge bifurcation.
A lot of bureaucrats there in Brussels kind of overseeing things to their own way. But either way, the capital's coming to America. The capital's coming to American companies. Tom Lee, you're the capital of the bulls. And we appreciate you, because you've been right. And we appreciate it. Tom, thank you very much.